Hey guys, John Faulkner here with Survival Dispatch. He's back.
I'm back. I know I've been missing for a while, guys, but I've been very busy. Very busy.
So Chris Weatherman in studio today. And if you see this black box right here, we also have with us Charlie Hogwood.
We put him in this box.
Yes.
It was effort. There was a lot of effort involved with that.
We played paper, rock, scissors. Charlie lost.
Let me out of here.
He's in the box.
Let me out of here.
So we got Charlie here. He's on Skype. He's in a little bit north of us. So what we're going to be talking about today is coronavirus and how it's affecting things worldwide. So we've had just, guys, the last 2 weeks or so has just been one question after another on Chris's pages, on Survival Dispatch's pages. And so we thought that we would do a Q&A so that you guys can ask the questions. And listen, it doesn't have to just be what's going on in China. How does this affect America?
Yep.
What you've seen the last 3-4 days in the stock market, things like that. So your guys' questions with regards to the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you guys want to call it.
Pandemic preps in general.
Pandemic preps. So listen, Charlie here is been following this very closely. So has Chris. I myself have been doing as good as I can. I had to travel a whole lot this week. Charlie's
you didn't tell me
actually
you're traveling.
Yeah, I went to Tennessee.
Oh, you didn't go to China? Okay.
No. But Charlie has been doing a lot of research on the coronavirus. And Charlie also just got done writing our germ warfare Survival Dispatch issue that just came out last month. So if you guys want like 70 more pages of how to combat germ warfare, Nikki will put a link in the comments, but become an insider. It's free for the first 14 days, and you'll be able to check everything out there. So that's it. Anything you want to share, add? Comment?
I'm just commenting to my mom. So I'm doing this, guys, because
I will allow this one. So.
And today is the 1-year anniversary of my dad's passing. So my dad passed a year ago today, and my mom just texted me. She was at the store and she bought a scratch-off lottery ticket, and she never buys these things, like ever. But something told her to buy it, and she bought a $30 scratch-off ticket. That's an investment. $30. She won $1,000 bucks. So it's kind of neat that today's the day. It's like,
He sent her a little gift.
He did. He gave her a present, and that's just really cool to me. And so I was happy.
So he was texting his mom.
Yeah.
But yeah. So guys, questions, leave them in the comments. As always, Allie will be putting your guys' comments up on our monitor here, and Nikki is always in the back.
Hey.
So you got all 4 of us today. All right, why don't you take the first question here?
First question, Matthew White wants to know if the coronavirus, we're going to refer to as COVID-19 from here on out, guys, just because, I guess it's really tiring saying coronavirus, gets worse than it is, when would you and your family hunker down and ride it out? What safety measures do we need to take? Like I've been telling everybody, I'm watching domestic numbers.
Yeah.
I don't care about international numbers. I don't care about the numbers in China. I'm simply watching domestic numbers. When they start to rise here precipitously, when things get, if we had 83,000 confirmed cases in the U.S. alone, I'd be worried. And that's when, and if it gets to that point, I'll tell you now, me and a couple other guys are going to just independently go kill China, because I'm going to have to shave to wear a respirator. And when that point, when it gets to the point,
I'll join your crew.
Yeah, I know you'll be on it. Yeah, see, Nikki's already there too. If we have to shave to wear respirators, then that's going to be a problem. But
or you could just shave.
Why would I do that? I'm a man.
Whatever.
Women shave their legs, and you shave your. But that's my answer to that. Obviously, try to get you some N95 masks. Those are the good masks.
They're pretty much gone.
They're pretty much gone. Like, there was a thing on the news in Orlando last night. They were going around to all the stores showing empty shelves, and they went to Home Depot and they had a 10
pack
limit, like 10 per person. Like, this is it. But you should have already had some of this stuff, folks. And I know it's hard to say, we can't prep for everything, but I haven't ran out and bought anything, because I have full-on respirators. I'm not going to mess with a N95 mask. If it gets to the time that I'm wearing that, I'm just going to wear my actual respirators.
Yeah.
So yeah, respirators, sanitizing products, cleaning products, things like bleach, stuff like that, keep it around. Lysol wipes, Lysol too, stuff like that, to keep things clean.
And the biggest thing, before bugging out or anything like that, the biggest precaution that you can take is keeping your hands clean.
I was just going to say, wash your hands, folks.
Use soap, scrub them down. And try to avoid touching your face also. Putting, chewing your fingernails. I have a bad habit of that, but chewing your fingernails, picking your nose, rubbing your eyes a lot. That's all things.
I heard the crazy number of how many times people on average touch their face a day, and it was insane. It was like 30 or 40 or even might have been 60 times that you touch your face a day. So you got to keep that in mind and try not to do that, because it's not just breathing it in. It's mucous membranes, so it'll enter through your eyes, your nose, mouth, obviously. So try to keep your hands clean, and then keep space between other folks. Do a little bit of social quarantining. In that, don't go out if you don't need to. I mean, we're prepared at my house to stay on our property for 6 months without leaving it. I won't have to step off the dirt. So,
Charlie, you want to add anything there?
When it comes to masks and stuff, you got a lot of choices on masks. There's a whole discussion that we can do on masks. I mean, I know y'all aren't seeing all that stuff, but I've got a number of different kinds, of stuff here.
And you're doing a video on this too, right?
Yeah, that's why I've got all these out, because I'm still collecting some research on that. So, because we had a viewer request, so I'm getting all that together. So the thing with masks is it's not as effective if you don't have it. What it does do is it does help you to prevent touching your face. So if I'm wearing some sort of a mask, it reduces me from sticking my hands and my fingers on my nose because it's in the way. And I'm like, oh, wait, I better not do that. So it helps with that. But when you get into some of these cloth masks, the exam masks, and some of these N95 surgical respirators, things like that, if they get wet, they will get wet after about 30 minutes with your respiration. And that water will reduce the ability of it to filter, because the mask is an air filter, just like on your air conditioning system. It'll reduce the ability for it to filter out those microns. So that's a thing. They have a service life. So,
and the little dust mask you just held up, and you see in China in particular, everybody's wearing like the surgical masks.
You see like people that wear them in airports.
Yeah,
no, the little
even the little exam mask you had, Charlie.
Yeah, so this
like that thing.
It's got a window.
Those are virtually useless though for preventing infection.
Well, that's right, because unless
they're not sealed. Correct. So,
and if you got like manly beards here, that's going to allow it to come in.
Well, but even for people that have a clean face, where they do make a difference is if you are sick. If you do get a family member who does become infected, make them wear it, because that does limit transmission. So that's where those things have their place.
You know what? Here's the thing that I bet a lot of people do not realize. So here's an example of a mask that's got the exhalation valves, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm sick and I'm wearing this to prevent other people from getting sick,
they blow out.
As I exhale, the germs are coming right out of that. So if you've got people out there who are wearing a mask to prevent them from getting somebody else sick, this is not the kind of mask to wear, whether it's got this more of a construction type. Now, this is NIOSH approved. It conforms with NIOSH. That's what you want to know. But even the other ones that got the cooling valves for hot weather, that's going to let germs out. So.
Yep.
So I mean, that's kind of just touching the overall basis, of ways to help try to prevent it. But we'll move on here. Tony wants to know, how far are we from bugging out, and how much farther is the stock market potentially going to drop before it's declared an emergency? So, the biggest thing with bugging out is you don't know where it's going to start.
We're right.
And the fact that, and the biggest thing with the COVID-19 is the fact that it's an incubation phase of
3 to 24 days.
Right. So I mean, theoretically, Chris could show, really, I could see no symptoms in Chris at all, and not see them for 2 or 3 more weeks.
Yep. And I could be asymptomatic, but totally infected.
I mean, Nikki's coughing.
I was just fixing to talk about Nikki coughing and wondering, do we need to drag him outside?
But that incubation period is, I think, what's going to make it really hard to bug out. Now, the point that I think you might have to consider relocating short term would be if you lived like in a port city or something, and people came in and it was a quickly spreading.
Yeah, or if you're in an apartment building, you know, where everybody is getting affected around you, it's hard to bug in a situation like that. It's going to depend on your location. I mean, and you got to think if you're bugging out, where the hell are you going? You know, running to the woods to sleep in a tent during a pandemic style situation, probably not the best idea. Your best bet is to be prepared to hunker down in your house and take proper measures to stay there. Now, as far as the stock market going down, the plunge protection team will come in and they'll shut down trading if it goes too far. But it would have to go a long way. We're up so high that it would have to take a pretty dramatic plunge before they would even send in the plunge protection people.
I think the market correction that you've seen was probably going to happen no matter what. There was going to be people that just took the gains that they had,
take their profit,
you know, take their profit, and the market was going to come down anyways. This just kind of started that panic, and as soon as one person hits the sell button, another broker hits the sell button, and it's just a domino. And that's, there's computer triggers.
It's all computers now. Yeah, it's all computers.
So I mean, that's, you know, it's at 25 right now. I mean, I wouldn't see it dropping much more. I wouldn't. I don't think it'll go.
It depends. It depends on what China does.
Because 20,000 would be pretty much a 33%, 33% dip in the stock market.
And it can happen if the supply lines from China don't get back up and operating, and people like you start seeing Ford and Chrysler and GM and GE, Siemens, the big companies start talking about shuttering plants because they can't produce nothing because they can't get their parts. That's when the stock market's really going to be in trouble, and that's when there'll be genuine panic.
Well, GM's already saying some of that.
See, it's already starting to trickle out. I said last week, I gave it 2 weeks before we started hearing that. So that's the end of next week.
Yep.
I expect there to be in the news that so-and-so is shuttering this plant and shuttering that plant, or they're laying off or doing whatever. That's when we'll know that the Chinese are not getting their shit together, for lack of a better term.
Yep. So, all right, Mark wants to know, how many months should a family prepare to shelter in place for? Charlie?
I am telling everybody that asks me 3 months.
That was going to be my answer, was 3 months. Yeah, minimum.
I say 3 months because I know that, first of all, I did this thing last night, this 2-hour webinar last night. We talked about some of this. I'm not calling Matt Damon for a sequel to Contagion yet, but it depends. If there is a significant mutation, then we might be facing something entirely different. But by having 3 months, you are now protecting yourself against the way that pandemics have a tendency to go through in waves.
Yeah.
And they reverberate back and forth. So you had a gentleman that flew from China to Iran, got people sick in Iran, and then flew back to China. And then now that's a threat to start a fresh wave of illness going through the areas he's going back into. Mm-hmm. So as the people have that freedom of movement, that's where you get those waves. So I'm saying 3 months. And the worst case is if you don't use your food in 3 months, you got a little extra food, you don't have to go to the store, for a little while afterwards.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you on the 3 months thing too, because it's February, March, April, May. Weather's going to be turning. It's going to be warming up, and just like the flu, the COVID-19, as the weather warms, the number of cases will drop, just like flu season does. The virus is like the cold weather, not the hot weather. And so, depending on where you live, especially us down here in Florida, we'll see
MERS didn't have a problem with hot weather.
MERS didn't, but they're already saying that this will. They're saying that this will be affected.
It's quite possible that it will.
Yeah.
It's hard to say unless it changes.
And let's take a look. Nikki's going to put a map up right now. It's going to kind of show numbers. This is coming right out of Johns Hopkins, correct, Nikki? Yeah. So Johns Hopkins, it's been pretty reliable every single day, and Nikki will put the link in there also so you guys can kind of look at this. So, 83,867 total cases right now have been confirmed, okay? So this number has slowed down a little bit, right, Nikki?
A little bit. You can see on the lower right corner there.
Well, but China's also changed the way they're recording.
Yeah.
So they're skewing the numbers.
But out of those 83,000, 79, almost 79,000 are in mainland China, with only 60 cases right now being confirmed in the United States. With 0 deaths.
Yeah.
So
there are a total of 2,867 deaths out of almost 84,000.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing: the case fatality rate.
It's 4 and change percent.
So here's the thing: people will come out and they'll say, well, the flu is worse, it's killed more people.
Right.
Okay.
And 6,100 died in America last year from the flu.
But 30 million people had the flu.
Correct.
Okay, so if you look at a case fatality rate of 0.01% on the flu, and a case fatality rate currently running in the 0.034%, you're looking, yes, more people have died from the flu, but that doesn't mean that once this takes off,
right, if it does, yeah,
a higher death rate. So it's not that you're not comparing apples to apples there.
No.
You have a flu problem, but now you also have an additional problem with a higher case fatality rate, and it's increasingly infectious.
Good Lord. Could you imagine getting the flu and this at the same time?
Well, there was a lady that was reported that had this and the dengue fever at the same time.
Dengue fever.
Wow. So sometimes just luck ain't on your side.
Yes, it's,
you know?
Yep.
But
you
I
rolled
think,
a 7.
I will say so far, U.S. government has done a really good job.
Yeah, with shutting down travel to certain countries, and yep.
And has really limited this.
I think the CDC's scaremongering a touch with them.
Sure.
We're going to see 60 million dead and all the stuff that they come out saying. It's also kind of like, I see this is sort of like the weatherman effect, I call it, of when a hurricane comes around.
Yeah.
It's their moment to shine. Yeah. It's the Super Bowl for them, and everybody wants to get in on the game. Yeah. And so I think there's a touch of that, and so they tend to overstate things.
Sure. Right now the panic is worse than the actual virus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and speaking of panic, there are no respirator masks to pretty much be seen.
Yeah, you can't even buy
anywhere.
a dust
Home
filter
Depot,
anywhere,
Lowe's, and
these, I'm kind of liking these, and I know they still have them in stock. These are called RZ masks.
Yeah.
And they're a replaceable filter. I just was in contact with the company day before yesterday, and they still had stock. So you can get them now. A full setup is going to cost you $35, but you're going to get extra filters.
Nick, you'll put a link up.
Well, the problem is with the links that I've been finding lately is they don't exist. Like all this stuff on Amazon,
really,
it's not there.
Oh.
Yeah, links are dead.
So the links are going to be dead for this one because you just can't physically get the stuff.
And Nikki, was it you that was telling me that respirator supplies, or was it you, isn't going to be for like a couple more months? Like literally
every warehouse is staged.
Well, literally every mask that's getting built right now is going to governmental
agencies.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
we have a $12 million mask stockpile. Well, it's between 12 and 30 million, depending on who you talk to, in the national emergency stockpile of medical goods. So the government is now thinking about enacting that executive order that allows the president to require a corporation or a business to provide like wartime effort materials. Right. So what I heard on Business this morning was that if you got a company that makes painters masks, 80% of those and 20% of medical masks, now the government can go in and say, we're requiring you now to make 80% medical masks and only 20% painter masks.
Gotcha.
So they're looking at some things like that because Medline, one of the largest mask suppliers to the United States, along with a lot of other medical supplies, they get their masks made in Wuhan, China. So they're not available.
Along with most of our antibiotics and everything else. It's funny the things we're finding out they're actually made in China.
Yeah, they're starting to see a little bit of shortage on that.
And going along the lines here, we'll take Brad's question with regards to masks. Is there any way to disinfect an N95 respirator other than exposing it to like a UV sanitizer or anything like that to get more usage out of it?
Well, all right. So let's see. I've just got this one in front of me. All right. Yeah. This is just a basic
dust mask.
It's a dust mask. It's an N95, so you can it's a respirator on. It's labeled as a respirator. It's got a NIOSH number to it, so you can use it. But it's more of a cloth.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to do much with it. But can you do something with it? In worst case, you might want to put some Lysol or something on it. But remember, I said if it's wet, you're going to lose its efficacy. Yeah. So if it's all you got, it's all you got.
Listen, I would say at the end of the day, try some like aerosol Lysol maybe. If you have a second mask, you might just put both of them on. Put one over another. If you're just in that.
Well, I'll have a product coming soon. I gotta talk to this company again Saturday for some sanitizing products. that you would be able to do that with because it actually does it as a gas. You can treat your entire home with this stuff too as a gas, and you could build a chamber so you could gas these things in them, and it's not that expensive. And Charlie,
this virus is actually pretty easy to kill.
Yeah.
it is, and especially with this stuff, Charlie. I need to talk to you about this stuff too. You'll be interested in what I'm working on. They even have a hand sanitizer that lasts for 4 hours. Where alcohol sanitizers, you put them on, it kills what's there. When it dries, it's gone. There's no more protection. This one lasts for 4 hours through multiple hand washings and will kill anything that touches it microbe-wise. And it does it in a manner.
Like that for airplane cabins. Where they can get all over the inside of an aircraft.
Exactly.
It's a new product that will digest.
Yeah, it breaks it down cellularly. It doesn't poison it, so it can develop resistance. This is like kind of hitting it with a hammer, sort of kills it, crushes it. And I'll have that sanitizer that I'll be showing everybody here very soon. I just got to call them again on Saturday.
Nikki, what you got here?
So interesting note about masks. My wife works in one of the largest hospitals here in Gainesville, and she's pretty high up in the ladder of communications there. And they have basically gotten all the masks that they have on site, put them in a secure location, and then had a checkup procedure.
Really?
So it's not like, oh yeah, let me just go down there and grab 5 of them and bring them home to my family. They're actually locking them down that hard that they're having a checkup procedure for them, and we only have 56 cases in the U.S.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So good luck on finding some if you haven't already.
So Gina Blaine asks, is there a chance that all the hype about the virus is just a red herring for something they are trying to sneak by us? I'm going to say no, because I don't think China will cooperate with us to sneak anything by anybody.
China wouldn't shut down 90% of their economy, for no reason.
They wouldn't be shooting people in the streets either, like has been reported. So
or welding people into their homes.
Welding people into their home, yeah, bolting their windows and doors shut. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say no to that one, Gina.
Let's see. Michelle wants to know, what are the true numbers of confirmed CV in the U.S. and where? I know that the CDC and MSM say, but I have a friend who works at a hospital in San Antonio, and she informed me 6 were confirmed on Monday. So yeah, Texas is where there are some cases in Texas.
Yep.
There are some cases in like New York.
Well, just like 2 weeks ago, there was several, so there's a couple 60, hundred people being self-quarantined.
Yeah. So okay, and there's like four levels. The president went over it in the speech.
Yeah.
So you could pretty much self-quarantine, and then there was infected and needing medical care, and then or treatment.
Yeah. And then needing medical care.
And then needing medical care.
Yeah.
So as far as 60 confirmed, I don't know where. 62. Right. I don't know where exactly. Maybe on that tree they're counting. But every number we can say is 60-ish.
But I also wouldn't put it past them to underreport, just to prevent. I mean, there's already enough panic. I mean, if they were to come out and say, no, we have 1,000 cases, folks, people would be freaking out, and there's already enough panic. So could they underreport? Absolutely. And they may look at it as a public safety thing to actually underreport it, but still be telling everybody, take your precautions and do this and do that. Because there's already enough panic, as we can see just from the list of questions and the number of people watching this thing.
And you guys are awesome, all 400 or 500 or
however many of you are out there. Yeah. Tony Lewis is asking, should we get out of the stock market? My personal opinion on that is you should have never been in it. That's my personal opinion. Don't listen to me. I don't fool with the stock market.
Nobody listens to you.
Since I quit day trading years ago, and I haven't had any exposure to it since then.
I keep a lot of retirement and stuff in the stock market. I haven't taken any out. Has it gone down? Yes. If I knew the best time to get in and out of the stock market,
wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Wouldn't be sitting here. So we'd be doing it like on a beach or something.
Well, then you need to figure out how to do that.
All right.
I'd rather be doing this on the beach.
Right. Prodigy wants to know, do you think this has a chance to be an apocalyptic situation?
I'm going to go with no.
I'm going to say the same.
I don't think this is going to reach Spanish flu level. I don't think we're going to see that.
Yeah, well,
it's more deadly than the Spanish flu. It's approaching some of that trajectory, but it's not. We're not going to have that level.
Yeah, you're never going to get like Ebola, death rates where it's 43%. Right. With the percentage being so low, it would have to mutate.
Well,
it has.
They've already seen some mutations in the generational changes.
But it would have to mutate to the point that, number one, it still stayed dormant for a couple of weeks, and then it really came on a whole lot stronger and really killed, immune systems pretty much.
Yeah.
Or if they found a strand that's really started, shutting down your liver or kidneys, fluid in the lungs even more, things like that. I don't see that happening with.
Like I said, I don't think we're going to see that unless, again, this is, and it's been stated, is an engineered virus. This was not a naturally occurring thing. China was monkeying around in one of their labs and let a bug out, and here we go. So who knows what it could actually. That next one, I don't know who typed that. But
I don't know.
She needs to talk to. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we're gonna go down to Rich's here.
Sorry, Stay Survived. Your translation didn't come through. We don't speak whatever that is.
So take the next one.
The next one's gonna be Rich Alderman. Says,
I figured you'd like that one.
I'm thinking that there is more danger from panic buying than from the coronavirus. Any thoughts? I would agree with you entirely. Americans are great at panicking. You let a school shooting happen, and look what happens to ammo stocks. You let a virus happen, and you cannot get N95 masks and respirators. People are very reactionary, and seldom are they proactive.
Yep.
In other words, having this stuff in place to begin with saves you from having to run out and panic later. So that's why we talk about being prepared. And yes, it's hard to prepare for everything, but it's just an example of trying to broaden the spectrum of what you're ready for.
Yeah. Okay. Now you can take the top one.
Okay, Stacey, she fixed it. Stay Survive has time frame on the possible disruptions to our lives the CDC is talking about. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
With the rates being so low here, we're going to have to see a dramatic uptick in those numbers. Like Italy, they were talking, everybody's freaking out about Italy the other day. Italy only had 655 confirmed cases.
Yeah. That's 10 times more than.
That's 10 times more than we got, so that's kind of a big deal. But, you're going to have to ask yourself, can I self-quarantine in my house for the next 3 months without leaving? Can I afford to do that? Can I pay my bills? Do I have the food? Do I have the stuff to do this?
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it. It's going to be a tough call to make, so it's going to be a personal decision.
Lori wants to know, do you think the government has given us all the information we need?
Never on anything.
No. The government always thinks they'll give you what you think you can handle because
what they think you can
handle. What they think you can handle.
Yes.
All they have to say is, hey, we have 60 confirmed cases. President, which I thought he did a decent job, gave a speech and no masks.
You're probably not going to die.
Yeah, no mask. Yeah.
That's what he said.
And so as soon as the government comes out, just like Chris was just saying, everybody wants to react and panic. We see it. We see it down here every single year.
When a hurricane comes.
When a hurricane comes with water and food and generators and gas.
Can I interject just a touch on that?
Go for it.
This is why we have survival groups and we prepare.
Yes.
So everybody that's out here listening now, your families, your survival groups, your tribe, this is exactly what the purpose is of that.
Yep.
So have you been setting some stuff aside? Have you been forming your family, preparing those around you to cushion yourselves from these events? This is that event.
Yeah.
If there was ever a real world time to have a group or have your family turned on, this is the time to do it, because now you're not worried about it. You got the peace of mind. You got the support that you need. You got the supplies that you need. You're getting the information you need. You can lay back in your lounge chair right now and say, I've got this covered. If you're not prepared, don't have the group, well, now you're kind of behind. That's where we are.
And what I'll say to that is, like I said, on Monday I had to drive up to Knoxville, Tennessee and back. 1 day, 22-hour trip kind of thing. Nikki and I love doing those.
You're a lot.
But it was one of those things where I called Chris.
Yep.
And we talked about it because that's kind of when things started to formulate on Monday. Yep. And then I called Charlie. Each of us talked for about 30 minutes or so. We asked ourselves a couple of questions, do you guys, and it ends always, the three of us, it always ends with, do you guys need anything?
Yep.
But we have that group that we're able to bounce ideas and information and reports and things like that off of, and it really helps get through a situation. Now, Charlie, talk on this.
The anxiety.
It can help reduce that anxiety. Absolutely.
Now, Charlie, Charlie.
I got a cough. I'm sorry.
Charlie is, has written multiple books on preparedness groups. I think they're fantastic. If you haven't read them, they need to be a part of your survival library. But Charlie, give us I say 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, young man.
And we're turning your mic off after that.
Off the stage.
2 minutes. Give us the protocol for how a preppers group should handle the distribution of information collected and distributed along their group.
Okay, so the short answer to that is you should have a communications plan in place, or you should be tuning up your plan right now. And you should have everybody paying attention to various sources of information, vetting the information, not rumor milling information, trying to communicate what's accurate, what's relevant, and if there's anything that seems out of place, just as if you were doing intelligence gathering, you would say, okay, let's verify that before we react. Let's make sure that's right. So find the websites, find the news sources, stay away from some of the crazy stuff because it's just going to hurt your feelings. Vet that information, pass it around to everybody, make sure everybody understands, is on the same sheet of music as to what's going on. If everybody has a job and you're updating your plans, you're checking your blind spots and your gaps to make sure that you're covered. Make sure that if you're aware of what's going on in your community, so if something happens all of a sudden and you get a very quick shutdown and all the schools have to close, Japan just closed all the schools in the entire country until April. If that happens in a community here in the U.S., they will shut down the schools, they'll shut down all the mass gathering events. And if the schools are shut down and then you're going to work, who's watching your kids? That's what your survival group is for. You picked people that you trust around your children. Now's the time to back that up and say, here's my kids, would you watch them? Then I'll take turns and watch yours. And now you start to understand why we went through such a heavy vetting process to build that group and make sure we found people that we trust. So that's where I am.
That's the first time he's ever stopped talking in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
That was, wow. We should end it right there.
We should just stop. And on that note, later,
just stop.
Another piece of this too that when we're talking about preparedness that doesn't get talked about a lot because it's not a lot of fun, it's not sexy, is the financial end. You know, we should be preparing ourselves financially just as much as we are everything else. So that when something like this happens, like Charlie said, if they shut down the schools, let's just say that in the morning we wake up and the news says, you know, we've shut down all the schools in Texas.
I got a 4-year-old and my wife and I both have to go to work.
Yeah, you got to go to work, but so now financially you got to make a decision. Can we afford daycare? Well, you probably can't send them there. If they shut down the schools, they're going to shut down those too, folks. So who's going to watch the kids? You know, and can we afford to do this? And how can we afford to do this? So that's just as big a piece of it. But like Charlie said, by having a group that you know you can rely on, you can alleviate some of that pressure, or you can at least distribute it. You know, so it's
and
not
by
all.
Having the food storage in place, you're not going out looking for food. You're not buying more food. Using the limited funds now that you're out of work on food. You're eating the food that you stored and spending your limited funds on the stuff you have to pay for, like mortgage, car
light bills,
insurance, you know, critical things like that, because now you have a reduced income. So it all plays, all the stuff that we've been talking about for years, this is where it comes into play.
Yeah, I agree. All right, questions here. Stephen Shepard wants to know, do you think that the COVID-19 is tracking the same way as the 1918 Spanish flu? Charlie, you were around in 1918. Can you fill us in on that?
I remember way back, World War I.
During the Great War.
There was. Well, look, the flu killed more people than combat did in World War I, right? So illness killed more people.
The flu killed more people than combat in World War I and World War II combined.
Yes. So, and the flu, if I remember correctly, began in Kansas. So that's where the Spanish flu, I believe, launched from, if I remember correctly. It was a long time ago. But I think that you have a very infectious condition right now, but I don't think that, even though right now the case fatality rate is, I think, a little bit higher than that, if I had to go back and check. But nonetheless, it's still, it can be a bad situation, but right now it's not a bad situation. Yeah,
I agree. All right, you can take the next one.
So Tina Fabulous says, do you guys recommend colloidal silver to bump up your immune system? There's a lot of folks that use it. It definitely does have medical benefits. I'll tell you this, though. You start drinking too much of that stuff, you will turn blue. Just remember that.
Especially.
Yeah.
The homemade stuff.
Yeah, if you mixed up colloidal silver and you're drinking it daily, and I've seen a guy. He looked like the girl off of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I was going to go Avatar.
He was blue. Go Avatar too. Yeah, that's fine. Looks just like the guys off Avatar. So it can be. That is a definite side effect.
Yeah.
So I do it in moderation. And again, it's like medicating yourself when you're not sick.
Yeah.
What's the point? You know, it's like waking up and taking an antibiotic every morning, just in case.
Promote your immune system and get those benefits without going a route that doesn't show that much benefit.
Yeah.
All right, Laura wants to know, do you think this was a man-made or natural mutation? Chris?
I've already said that this is an engineered weapon, in my opinion, that China was playing with, and it just got loose. So there's too many things. They're finding genes from the HIV virus spliced into it and stuff, so this is man-made. There's no doubt about that.
We're going to add that layer of conspiracy because it's more lethal to older people and people with
compromised immune systems.
So if you want to go ahead and add that in, just for fun, and say we're trying to get rid of the older and the infirm, so for population control, but I'm not going to say that.
There you go. At what point do basic services break down, such as fire, police, and hospitals? I'll start with this. As far as a situation like we have here with COVID-19, first it's going to be the hospitals. And what you're seeing in Wuhan was I believe, one ambulance for every 50,000 people. Okay. And at the point of them actually having it was like the end of January, it was one ambulance per 194,000 people. People were literally waiting multiple hours for an ambulance to get it. And these are people that don't have the virus. They cut themselves, fell down, hit their heads.
Actual emergency services.
Needs.
Yeah.
And these people are dying in their homes, not from a virus, but from some other injury or illness. So, hospitals are going to be the first things that really get overrun. The point in which you start having issues is, listen, police officers and firefighters and doctors and nurses, they're all people also.
Well, and to China now they're seeing a spike. Like the doctor that blew the whistle on this. First he disappeared, and then he conveniently died of COVID-19, which I think was probably administered through an AK. But their emergency care people are now seeing very high rates of infection because they're not either following proper PPE or it's just that bad inside the hospital.
And you got to think too.
Of 2005, 2006 for the United States indicates that they expect upwards of 40% of people to be out of the labor force. That would include medical professionals, that would include law enforcement, that includes people who make your electricity, your food production, all that stuff.
And you got to think about this too. Not that it has happened, but patient 1 through 100 just said, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I need to go to the doctor. And it could have spread throughout a hospital.
Oh, yeah.
It could have spread throughout a doctor's office or a medical facility, just because they were there to say, we're here for you to help you.
Yep.
And they didn't know what was wrong at the time.
Yep.
So now they're carriers of it. So that's why, the hospitals are going to be the first things that would deteriorate if anything.
From surge capacity, yes.
Yeah.
And people that are just psychosomatic, they're like, well, I don't feel good, I want to get tested.
Yeah.
And then they all run in there.
Well, everybody running in, I want to get tested, will be what puts the heavy burden on emergency services, Like Mac Irwin here says, is 80,000 infected the point I tell my employer I'm not coming to work, and when do I pull my son out of school? That's going to be an individual thing, and again, I wouldn't look at the overall number of infected reported. What's the infected in your region, state, your county? What's that number look like? If Michigan's on fire with COVID-19 cases, and you live in Oklahoma and you're not seeing it, then don't do it. But if you live in Michigan, I would stay home from work and pull the kids out of school. So it's going to be relative. You're going to have to weigh those options yourself and watch your area. So again, like I said, I'm looking at the overall domestic pictures for us it's 62 right now. And as that increases, I'm looking at where are they. We know they're in Texas, New York, there's one in California, they're here, they're there. So I'm keeping an eye on what that looks like, because that also affects where I plan to travel. Like, I'm working on the TV show right now. Do I want to fly to LA? I don't have to think about that. Do I want to go to Texas at the moment? Maybe not.
I got to go to Detroit and Dallas.
You got to do Detroit and Dallas? Yeah. That's just like hell.
Yeah. Yep.
Glad I ain't got your job.
But guys, we thank each and every one of you that are watching, the hundreds and hundreds of people watching and leaving questions. If you have questions.
And we know there's a crap load of questions we're not going to get to, guys.
We're trying to get through them as fast as possible. We're also trying to be as educational as possible. And we have Charlie here, and he just doesn't shut up.
Just suck up all the air in the room.
But if you guys are just joining us, like we mentioned before, if you guys are not a Survival Dispatch Insider member, check it out today for 14 days. You can check it out for free. Our last month issue, it had nothing to do with coronavirus, I promise. We did not unleash it in order to sell more of our insider subscriptions. But last month's issue was all on germ warfare.
And pandemics and that kind of thing, yeah.
So Charlie and his team of writers did an awesome job laying it out. Brad and Nikki and all the people that work behind the scenes, editing it.
Brad's still alive? Because he won't return a phone call, Brad.
But they did an absolutely amazing job with the germ warfare episode. So if you're looking for more information for your survival library, check out the Survival Dispatch Insider. Nikki will leave the
just click on that link. That's right there.
There you go. Click on the link.
Charlie, here's a question for you, because I'm going to do these out of order. Well, no, we'll do them in order first. First, Shelly asked, at what point do I self-quarantine? I'm going to say if you think you've been around somebody who's exposed, I would self-quarantine then. But you got to bear in mind, that's not something to do lightly, because you need to quarantine yourself for a minimum of 30 days to really know if you're infected or not. So keep that in mind. But if you're around people that someone comes up and says, oh, hey, did you know Jim over in shipping? He's got coronavirus. It'd be a good reason to quarantine yourself. This one, Charlie, is for you, because I'm not sure. Kat's asking, do those UV lights kill this virus? Does coronavirus get killed by UV? I'm sure massive dosing of it might, or massive exposure, but.
Well, here's the thing with UV. It's kind of like solar water disinfecting. If you UV a surface and you don't get the back of the surface, you're not covering everything. So what are you trying to do? Are you going to put your hands under UV? Are you trying to, are you running UV through your air conditioner?
Right.
Your filter system. So it's hard to say how that application would work.
Does UV penetrate biofilm?
It doesn't penetrate plastic very well.
Well, no, biofilm. You know what biofilm is.
But I'm in comparison to that. I don't know. I don't know that it would. I don't think it would, because the UVA, UVB gets filtered out
pretty quick. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, very quickly.
All right. So moving on here, Michael wants to know what preventative measures can be taken when so many stores are sold out of supplies. So let's just say no masks, Charlie. What else can be done here?
Well, first of all, a lot of hand washing and proper hand washing. We just went over this with Dr. Bones, Nurse Amy, last night. Carry the hand sanitizer clip to your belt loop, and then every time you touch a public surface, just like we talked about in our germ warfare issue, don't do just a little drop on your hand. A lot of people do that little drop and do this hand washing thing. That is ineffective.
They're supposed to be wet.
You have to squirt it down. Yep. You've got to wipe all of your hands and all the way down. And your hands have got to be shiny. You got to get around the nails and all that stuff. That's more effective than wearing a mask. If you want to wear a mask and don't have one, you can manufacture one. Amy did one demonstration on homemaking one last night. But honestly, now it goes back to social distancing, avoiding things like handshakes, avoiding hugs, avoiding all of that kind of stuff. Keeping your 4.5 to 6 feet away from everybody. Don't touch stuff you don't need to be touching. A lot of hand washing all the time, because that way you intercept, it along the way. So those are the most important things you can do.
And Daryl asked here, let's see, consistent warmer weather is 6 to 8 weeks out. Your thoughts on humidity slowing or stopping down the COVID-19? It's just like flu season. We think that it'll.
The prevailing thought is it will slow it down.
Yeah.
But the CDC is also saying this will come back around. This fall, that just like flu, we're going to see a rise in
a community disease.
Yes. So it's probably with us for at least all of 2020 and into 2021 is what I was reading.
Adam wants to know, looking for recommendations on supplies to last 2 to 3 weeks, but with the fact that power will remain on if there is a quarantine. So food.
Yeah,
so,
food.
You know,
you have to go to the grocery store for.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and you're gonna. I mean, you can go back to basics. You can go back to rice and beans. You know, James Yeager just did a great video on just rice storage on Tactical Response's YouTube channel just this morning. And you know, a 25-pound bag of rice is roughly about 40,000 calories. So you know, you talk 2,000 calories just in rice. I'm not saying we're going to eat just rice, but just in rice as a serving. Yeah.
50-pound bag. You can see how far that will go.
Yeah, you know, you got 20 days. I'm saying for one person, 20 days of 2,000 calories. If you add just a little bit of protein and stuff to that, you know, it's a full meal. Yeah.
I'm
reading.
So
rice, get some dry beans, and that will give you both of your carbs, your proteins, your riboflavins, all your vitamins. Go to Costco, buy those the little chicken cans of chicken that come in the 6-pack.
Yep.
We've been stocking those for years. Now you add that in, you got some spices. I mean, you will get appetite.
Well, and you can get regular canned goods. I mean, we're talking a couple, 3 weeks. Yeah, you know, throw some ravioli, even get some pasta and some sauce, stuff like that. Your basic stuff, even some frozen meats, throw into the mix. You're only talking a couple of weeks. Your conventional grocery shopping list will accommodate that.
And because I know Charlie, we got enough Spam staved up for a long time, don't we now?
Hey, man, I also went to, for some reason, we went to get some party supplies at Dollar General. I found tins of sardines and smoked baby oysters on sale for $1.
As long as it's in mustard, we're good to go.
Mustard, that's right. Mustard, hot sauce.
Charlie and I went to a survival class and we cracked open a can of Spam that expired in 2012, and people are giving us looks, but
and it was still good though.
It's still good. It's Spam.
It's Spam. That's like the cockroach of meats. You can be able to eat that when nothing else is left on the planet. I love Spam too. Got to fry it though.
Take Kat's question here.
Which populations are at most risk of having complications from it? Anyone with compromised immune systems, young, old. Obviously, when younger people, your older people, and compromised immune systems are the ones who have something to worry about. If you're like the flu. Next question, Scott Snyder. Quit being a smartass. And I'll call you later.
How much money you got in your wallet?
It don't matter how much money I got in my wallet. He's just being a smartass. I know him.
Gotta be more than mine because I'm broke.
And I'm sorry I missed the concert. Had a concert at his house.
Yes.
but we've improved our Thrive stuff coming in. So I would say that food has been the biggest thing. I've also gone down to the meat market and bought more chicken, more various meats. And then I put all that into food saver bags, and I built my meat library in the deep freezer. So
did you just say meat library?
Yes.
You've never seen his meat library?
So I've got this giant tall stand-up freezer. So I've got pork chops, I got ground beef, I got fish, I got chicken.
Cool.
You know, and
just
then
never heard the term.
The bag freeze foods like from Swan's Delivery. We have like all of the, you know, the chicken wings, all the different frozen vegetables, all that kind of stuff. So we have a mix of frozen, and we have all of the dry goods, and all of our home cleaning supplies, dish soaps. We've got a lot of paper goods, a lot of toilet paper, paper towels, a lot of diapers and baby wipes because we have the little ones.
Yeah.
So formula for the baby. So those kind of things. But yeah, now we're
the diapers are for Charlie. The formula is for his son. That's right. So Richie wants to know martial law. At what stage does it kick in? First of all, Charlie and I have talked about this. It will not be considered martial law.
No,
it will be considered
what? Like a medical containment.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're going to start with medical containment. So, you know, what you would maybe see is, let's just say we had an outbreak that started in Texas. You would start to try to see a medical containment of a city. So let's just say San Antonio. You'd try to see a medical containment of that city. If it breached that medical containment, it might become a medical containment of the state of Texas, to where people...
Or what they call a cordon sanitaire.
There you go. So
using the French.
Once it escapes the containment,
yeah.
The efforts to put in containment in place are a waste of time and resources. Now they really focus on public education, hand washing, all of the things we've been talking about, so that for personal intervention.
So yeah, martial law, you know, that's
a big step. I mean, that's a big deal.
You don't have enough people to do that. You've got one first responder for about every 1,000 citizens in the country.
Yeah.
And the military can't do that except for critical infrastructure when you're not going to be there anyway.
So there you go. You can take the next one.
So Christopher Miller's asking, what's up, buddy? Good to see you here. What about decon if one has to venture out in a pandemic setting? What chems need to be allocated? I know that the virus lives longer in things like carpet, fabrics, clothing, stuff like that. So if you're going out into an area and you knew like this is an issue here, yeah, I would, I would have a room set up for it. Basically come in, strip down, get all the clothes off, then decon yourself with some kind of a bleach mixture, sanitizing mixture, and the clothes go right in the washing machine and get washed on hot water, and then, enter the house would be my pitch. Yeah. What do you say, Charlie?
You can, so if you really felt like you got into a serious pandemic situation, let's say it was like an Ebola thing where you were afraid that you were going to bring it back into the house. You can get, forget about the regular latex exam gloves because you'll burn through those so quickly. Go with the long yellow dish gloves like you've seen in our germ warfare issue. Go with the rubber booties. Leave a bucket outside, not a pail, but like a wash bucket.
Tub,
like you wash your dog in or something like that.
Yeah. Something that
or
you
a kiddie pool
with your boots that's got the bleach in it to wipe that off, and then wipe that onto something before you go into the house. If you look at the news, you'll see that in China they're spraying down the streets, the airports, the sidewalks, and all that. Yeah. That's because that stuff ends up on the ground, gets tracked onto shoes, and then gets tracked back to the house.
Yeah.
So don't wear your shoes in the house if you've been out. Anything that you touch that might be contaminated, take it off as if it was contaminated. So there are proper ways to take off a mask. You don't just put your hands all over it because the outside is contaminated. Take it off by the straps, right, from the back, and then you let it hang and you dispose of it. Same way you take off exam gloves. Same thing.
I don't use the yellow dish gloves. I actually, and Amazon probably still has these, but the chemical proof gloves. They're big green. They're rather heavy, but you can rinse those with anything. I mean, acetone, soak them, whatever. It will resist them, and that's what we use, along with Tyvek suits and duct tape and all that other stuff. So,
Datvik wants to know, can I reuse my 40 millimeter filters after going outside during an outbreak?
Yeah, they have a lifespan once you open them, but they're better than they can be used for more than one outing, but they do have a lifespan.
About these.
Yeah.
These are a 40 millimeter filter. It depends on what it's rated for.
Yes, and there are many different filters.
And how long you had it in that environment.
Yeah.
But you can continue to use them. But remember, everything on the outside that has been drawn in here, that's contaminated. So that's when you want to go through and you want to clean all that stuff before you put your hands all over it.
Yep. Before you even take your mask off, decon. Yeah.
All right. Shauna just wants to know, hey, don't worry that you just joined. I know that people get in here all the time. It's no problem at all. But this question hasn't been asked, so I'll take it here. How much water do you all recommend storing in the case water companies are in short staff?
Well, the old adage has always been 1 gallon per person per day, but I always say that's woefully inadequate in my opinion.
More like 5.
Yeah, more like 5 gallons per person per day, and that's if you're without running water. So if the water was shut off or your well quit working or whatever, 5 gallons of water per person per day, and that's volume. That's a big space. That is kind of hard to pull off, and we get that. But without water, there is no life, and that's just a fact.
But you got to use the right water for the right purposes too.
Yes.
You don't use your drinking water to flush your toilet.
No.
You can use lake water to pour down a toilet out of a 5-gallon bucket, as long as your public sewer system is operating and the lift stations aren't shut down like we get in hurricanes.
Yeah. And if they are, you better hope you live way uphill from the lift station.
Uphill, yeah.
There's no hills in Florida. How do you live uphill?
Everything that works off of gravity, trust me, it works off. If you live close to the lift station shuts down. I don't want to be living next door to the lift station.
Downhill.
Michael, exactly.
This is why we don't do this. You two. This is why we don't do this.
Here we are.
Michael, don't hate the player, hate the game, baby. Come on.
Michael Lilly wants to know, do you believe that our government would truly warn us to when it becomes a pandemic, in time to possibly bug in or bug out?
I think by the time the government says it's a pandemic, it will have been a pandemic long enough that you'll know it's a pandemic before they tell you.
And I'm not saying that this virus will be a pandemic, but if we're using just the situation of this virus, 3 weeks is already too late.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. If the numbers spiked in 2 weeks, that means it's already been a pandemic for 3 weeks.
Well, because
they're just going to keep rising
for a couple of weeks.
And if you look at the numbers that Nikki had on that Johns Hopkins case, you see in China it ramps up.
Oh yeah.
Extremely high. because it started and they didn't really know about it, and then it hit that 13, 14-day period, and boom. So I mean that's that's the things that you really have to consider is what's the incubation period of these. So all right, Patriot Hudson wants to know Harbor Freight compared to an N95 mask quality, yes or no?
What you want to look for, if you're looking for an N95 mask that will filter out the particulates down to 0.01 micron, is the NIOSH. If it says NIOSH, approved, certified, then yes, you get that.
And just so you guys know, like a strain of hair is like 0.15 microns. The virus is 0.01 micron
for a virus. Yeah. You're talking very, very, very small.
Yeah. Sally wants to know, I have problems with bleach. Can I use peroxide instead?
Yeah, more than likely. That would be fine as a disinfectant.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've got something coming out too that's different than both of those.
And Sally, there's a lot of alternative disinfectants out there also that some use like copper particulates and things like that for people that have sensitivities to bleach.
So does she have the sensitivity to sodium or calcium hypochlorite, which is the active ingredient in bleach? Because if that's the case, then all of those bleach things will be out. Then you can look at a stronger peroxide, or you can go into something along those lines. But
Nikki,
probably even vinegar.
Nikki, does your wife use those disinfectant rags that are like reusable?
Like the Lysol wipes?
Not the Lysol wipes, but they're like rags that you can like wash in the washer machine, like on hot, like they have copper impregnated. I don't know.
No, I don't have any.
Throwing out ideas.
I'm not even going to answer that next question.
Throwing out ideas.
Because that better be rhetorically humorous. I'm not even going to answer that.
Let's see here. Barbara wants to know, do you have any helpful hints for us SSDI people, Survival Dispatch Insiders, for stocking up on supplies? Also, my well smells like rotten eggs. Is it safe to drink?
Yes, it is safe to drink because my well smells the same way.
Sulfur.
It's just sulfur in there. And Barbara,
it's good for you.
That's good for you.
It's a little hard on chrome.
Chrome or anything else. It's hard water, Barbara. It's sulfur. But one way you can deal with that for your drinking water, get any sort of gravity-style filters. Say I use in my house. I use the Berkey filters, big ones. Pour my drinking water in the top. Take my drinking water out of the bottom. We use that for drinking and cooking, and it totally removes the sulfur. Not because the filter actually removes the sulfur, but the actual aeration process of it dripping through removes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's one of Charlie's filters. You may notice he has a little bit of iron at his place.
Well, that was when I was in Florida.
You could probably melt that down and get a...
There's a 57 Chevy in
there.
Yeah,
there's at least an arrowhead in here.
But your filters are going to change color after time, but based on the...
if you'll maintain them properly and from time to time take them out and scrub them, unlike this one, they'll last a lot longer. Good Lord.
I had that for years.
Charlie comes into town. Charlie comes into town, and that's what he leaves us.
Yeah, Charlie comes and this is what he gives us.
So.
Mr. Lavalent says, what are the best large outdoor water containers? Anything not clear, not white, darker the better, blue, black are good, because that prevents algae growth. So something that will filter out UV and keep stuff from growing inside of it is what you want. So, it always amazes me when people panic about bottled water, get some food grade 55-gallon drums, or like I buy the 15-gallon versions because they're man portable at least.
You can't lift a 55-gallon drum?
I mean, not over my head.
Need to hit the gym.
I can't. Yeah, but
Charlie and I do it all the time, just for funsies.
Yeah, we throw them back and forth.
Yeah,
throw them back and forth. I'd like to see Charlie catch a 55-gallon drum, an empty one, an empty one.
What happened? Look at me.
It's what happened. Yeah, explains a lot. Okay. Angela Stenberg asks, what about using pool shot for disinfectant? No. Well, for disinfectant, maybe, because it does have algicides and fungicides and stuff like that in it. Do not use pool shot to treat drinking water.
Yeah.
Very bad for you.
You can if you get the commercial version. It has no fragrances and not the clarifiers and all the other stuff. It's not from Home Depot.
No, you got to go to a pool store and you can get the straight shock of, and it's the pure soda. What the hell?
There's two versions: calcium hypochlorite.
Calcium hypochlorite. Thank you. Yes.
The little burritos, but you can't. I made the mistake of storing those inside in a cabinet once, and I corroded all the hinges shut on the cabinet.
Oh yeah, they off gas.
Open to get in.
Yeah.
So, and you can only use a little bit at a time, and you got to be careful that you add that to the water, not the water to that, because then you'll create basically like a phosgene gas. You'll mustard gas your family, so you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, you
I
can
hate when
mess
that
it up.
happens. Emil, Tom, Al, and Sean all want to know, when is the next book going to be
Okay,
done?
guys. So I've been a little slow in coming out with the next book. You may have noticed. It's only been over a year. I will have the manuscript done within the next 10 days, starting Monday, 10 days from Monday, because I built a new office and I've had to relocate, do a bunch of stuff. I've been working on the TV show, which is also moving forward. There may be some big news on that as well here shortly in addition to that. But I plan on having the manuscript done within 10 days from Monday. So another 2 weeks, hopefully you guys will be able to see it in print, I'm hoping. That's my goal. I'm trying very, very hard to make that happen. And I appreciate everybody being so patient with me, because I know I haven't been posting, I haven't been doing nothing, because I've been building a new office. It took some time. And it's going to be pretty cool. You guys will get to see some video of it when things are done. In my office, I actually built a food preservation room where dehydrator, freeze dryer, stainless steel counters and sinks, fridge, all that stuff is. It's just for me storing my own personal food, because I put a lot of my own stuff away. And we'll be shooting some video in there. You guys will get to see that stuff. And I'll show the new office here soon enough, just as soon as I clean it up, because we moved in a hurry last night. And it was kind of like open the door and huck it in. So, and I have way more stuff than I thought I did.
So Richard wants to know, is there any way that this virus can contaminate public water supplies?
I don't think you could get not unless it was deliberately done. I don't see how you could get enough virus into a water supply.
I don't think so.
Somebody had to pour a concentrate in. I can't.
So-
I don't think it's going to be a persistent agent like that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would be.
So I mean, that is that. We're going to start wrapping up here, guys.
And we know we didn't answer a lot of questions, folks. We're sorry,
but
we'll do some more.
If you guys want me to do another live somewhere along the way without y'all or whatever, we can
we'll take some more questions, and Charlie and I will hop on here and do another live if there's more, so we'll definitely be around. Also, make sure if you're looking for a great way to save some money, make sure you check out shop.survivaldispatch.com. We do weekly deals every Thursday or Friday, where we take one item and put it at a fantastic price. Flashlights, knives, saws, you guys name it,
stuff.
we put it in there. So, and if you're not subscribed to the Survival Dispatch Facebook page, YouTube page, or Instagram page, and you're watching us now, feel free to hit that subscribe button so you guys always know when we're doing lives like this. We also drop videos pretty much every single day. So make sure you guys are following us there as well. Charlie, give us a 2-minute parting shot here. Any advice that we didn't hit on.
The best advice that I can say is pay attention, like we discussed earlier. Wash your hands. Learn to wash your hands properly. So there's a method to it. Learn how to use hand sanitizer properly, because there's a method to it. Learn how to use your mask properly. And that's what this really boils down to. This is fundamentals. You're putting an air filter on your face. You're cleaning the germs off your hands. You're being aware of the surfaces that you're touching. You're increasing your situational awareness, and you're staying out of places that might cause you to catch the flu. So everything that you do for flu prevention will also benefit you in this situation. Don't let the anxiety take over and drive you crazy. And if you got questions, do some solid research. Stay away from the crazier side of the internet, and that's really the most of it. That's really all there is to it. Be ready with a backup plan for your family, for your kids, in case the schools shut down, in case your work shuts down. Have a pandemic plan in your work. Ask your work if they've prepared for this, for teleworking, telecommuting, if they can change shift schedules. Like John, I sent you that pandemic plan at the beginning. So those kind of stuff will go a very long way, and you won't have to worry about a single thing.
Yeah. Chris?
I had something, and I was going to make a joke about Charlie, and I forgot it. You go next. And it's
Did you forget the joke about Charlie, or what you were going to say?
What I was going to say, because the joke was good. And never mind. No, you go. I'll close mine out in a minute.
This is what I work with. Try to end a show, and they don't even know how to.
This is the best job in the world.
I can't resist. He sets them up, and I just want to spike them so hard.
I tell people all the time, being prepared in the little things like we've talked about with some finances, some food, and a plan can go an extremely long way. It's not always about firearms and bullets, because you can't shoot the coronavirus. Always try to be ready. Always have a contingency plan, and make sure you check out, stay in touch with Survival Dispatch Facebook page, Instagram page. We'll definitely make sure that we're doing as good as job as we can as far as getting information and getting it out to you from reliable sources. So make sure you follow.
And that kind of
and you can follow Angry American also.
Yeah, that kind of dovetails into what I was going to say, and that was don't panic right now. You know, use logic, folks. There's not that many cases in this country, but yes, watch the domestic numbers. However many people are infected in China really doesn't affect us here. Well, it kind of does because things aren't being made for Walmart, but use logic and don't panic. Consider what's happening in your neighborhood, in your county, in your state, and break it down to see how it affects you. Yeah. That's the biggest thing that I can say. Just use your thought processes and work through this stuff, and don't panic yet. When it's time to panic, we'll let you know. Trust me. And for you freeloaders out there who haven't taken the 14-day free trial and become a member to try it out and see how much you're going to like the Survival Dispatch Insider, get over there and try it out. You get a free trial. I mean, there's no cost. You'll see the Germ Warfare edition, which dovetails very nicely into what's happening right now. Yeah. And no, like John said, we didn't start COVID-19 just because we put an issue out. But, there is a conspiracy there.
Timely, don't you think?
It is timely.
But guys, that is it. We thank you for your guys' time. We thank every single one of you that were watching from around the world. We appreciate and love each and every one of you guys. And until next time, be safe.
And stay prepared.